What's going on, guys? This is G with Test Bros, and today we are going to show you a sneak peek of how we actually design and manufacture our products. Come take a look. So for those of you who don't know, what makes us different from the competitors and people out there is that we actually design all the products. And that's why we have to have all these cars in our warehouse so that we can actually scan them. So we try to get it as soon as we can. So I think we're one of the first as far as getting this scan. And basically, and I'll walk you through some technical, some not. This is the first step of the process. So this video is going to be a series. We're going to show you and walk you through some of, by the end of it, we are going to have a complete design done for the fender in terms of PPF. So basically what you see here is we've removed some stuff. So a lot of times we go through removal to do some scanning. We also take removal if we were coming up with new accessories and so on. So we remove some things like the autopilot, some things like the trims, and so on, so we can scan. We also have like the tire cover removed so that we're going to scan that as well. So all these that you see, these are called positioning markers. And positioning markers are very important because sometimes glossy vehicles can be very difficult to scan. So you put this marker so the scanner can pretty much emit all this light and then be able to know what position they're in. And when you know that, it scans a lot cleaner. This seems like overkill, but what I've learned over scanning over a period of time, more dots the better, to be honest. So this is kind of what you see here. Typically, you can actually scan half the car, and then you could split it in half. That is another technique you can. In this case, we just thought it'd be faster. I can get a full design done, scan the whole hood, and then I should have a template ready to go for the hood, the fender, and then also the bumper. One thing is when you're scanning these things, the headlights or lights in general, so this headlight right here and then this light bar, you have to actually spray something over it, right? So if you're using like a light IR, which is what our scanner uses, you actually need to spray it, and then that will, because it's just, it goes through, right? It's not reflective, it's transparent. So that can cause some issues for scanning elements. So just so you know, so this is the first step of the process. We just put a bunch of dots. I hate doing this process. Maybe we'll get a scanner that doesn't require this. But at the moment, this is what we have. So this is what we do. So basically, I'll kind of walk you through. This is what we use. This is a commercial grade, but it's a very easy to use. Our team can use it. You just pretty much point at it, right? And you just go over it, and it just emits light. So basically, let me see if I could. I already scanned this, but I don't want to redo it. But I promise you, it emits a lot of light. So be careful with a lot of lights. And then you just go through several times. And I like going slow. And then this thing pretty much tells me if I'm too far, too close. And then I go through all the areas. I go through probably 2 or 3 times because I found just going a little slower tends to be a little bit better. So once that's done, typically when we do this, we actually do the whole car and then we split them. But right here, I have the fender that's pretty much cleaned up real quick. This is not fully cleaned up, but you can see the lines are pretty clear enough. There's a pattern, so I can pretty much use this data. And what's important about this data is you got to understand this body right here is not flat at all, right? So you got this divot that goes in more aggressively in some areas. Some areas kind of has a concave into it, or the other way, and so on. So it's very important to work with you could do something like, there's another technique where people can use like a transfer paper or just contact paper and then put it over. That's another technique. That works as well. We just found that we've created a process where it works really well for us and makes it really fast for us to be able to design these things. So that's just how we do it. There's a lot of methods in terms of patterning, but we do it in-house. And why do we do it in-house? I think one of the questions that people ask is like, why not use a database that's out there? Well, first of all, we design not for professionals. We design for do-yourselfers. So when you have do-yourselfers in mind, you want to add a little bit of margin here and there for mistakes because they're not professionals. They don't do this on a daily basis, right? They're not going to be able to stretch as aggressively as a professional would. So that's why we have that in mind. And then we design our own, and then we have some of our employees and team members actually test it and make sure that they're good to go because they don't actually install film on a daily basis. So that's why we do it in-house. We found that it's just better to start from scratch and then just kind of go from there. So once it's scanned, we put it on the computer, and then basically we have a proprietary software that we've developed in our processes where we clean it up and we're able to flatten it in a way, and then finally it gets into an Illustrator file, which will allow us to kind of edit the vectors and all those points. And then we can finally test it. So that's pretty much the scanning process. Make sure you click on the subscribe if you want more content about what we do at Test Bros and all the processes that we do in terms of the development of a product. We have another video about the installation. We're not going to do a video about actually the cleaning up and all that stuff. That's something that's more internal that we probably shouldn't share. But then we'll get back to you. We'll have a cut. We'll show you a little bit of the cutting process. What do we use to cut? What industrial machines do we use to really cut it so it's perfect? And then we'll show you on an install, and hopefully we will show you not the prototype, but the final version of a Model Y Juniper Fender PPF completely done by the end of this series. So if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. We'll put some specs on what we use. We're not very shy about sharing this information. These scanners are pretty standard. So let us know in the comments below. We'll see you later.